So it's like Showgirls or something?
I think it's more Wolf of Wall Street, but with strippers.
Like Magic Mike?
Kind of.
Well, I swear, every time we did a stripper movie, we always get people like this. Tired of this Daddy.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Tavern Talk by Initial Reaction. I'm Philip, and joining me this week, Jennifer Gerber. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I super appreciate it. Jennifer is the director of the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival. Really, world-renowned Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival. Very well respected, has a lot of big names come to it, great films every year, and it is, when does that happens next month, right?
October 18th through 26th.
Yeah, so it's coming up, and also a filmmaker in your own right. If you have an Amazon Prime account, definitely check out The Revival. It's Jennifer's first feature film on there. And working on anything new, anything coming up?
Oh yeah, I have a lot in the works.
Awesome.
3 features in development right now, and they're just all kind of stacking up, getting ready to go pretty soon.
Well, that's super
It's about to
exciting
be a
stuff.
big stretch, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time out to be here and
Absolutely.
see a movie with us and talk about it. Speaking of the movie we saw tonight, this week we're talking about Hustlers. It is the new movie from Lorene Scafaria. She is the director of Seeking a Friend for the End of the World and The Meddler. But this is probably her biggest thing she's done to date, I would say. I mean, this is, you have an insane cast here. J-Lo, Constance Wu, Lili Reinhart, Keke Palmer. You have appearances by Lizzo, Cardi B. Based on a true story, a New Yorker magazine article by Jessica Pressler. But no, initial reaction, what'd you think?
Well, I've been anticipating this film
Yeah.
for a very long time, which sometimes can ruin your experience. But I was really into it.
Yeah.
I'm actually really curious about a man's perspective on it, because I'm curious, because it definitely is very about like female empowerment and taking charge and sort of taking control of their lives at the,
Yeah, no, it's...
yeah, I'm actually really curious, because I wonder how. But I would say probably my biggest criticism is how they treated the male characters in the film. But the women are incredible in the film. They're so beautiful. They're so empowered, and it's cool to see them just conquer their goals, even though there's some consequences still.
Right. No, it is. I mean, this is mostly a cast of women. There are very few male characters, 0 main male characters. Yeah. It was written and directed by Scafaria, and so, I mean, I thought it was interesting that it never painted these women in like an extremely good or bad light. It's just, these are who they are, and take their actions coming from the circumstances that they're in, whether, it humanizes them to the point, it's like, do you relate to it, and do you sympathize with them because of what they're going through to have to do this, or what they've been through to reach this point? Or is it still come down to, I'm going to judge them based on that outer perception? So, I mean, they didn't treat the male characters great, but it was still, like, it kind of played up the aspect of, is there more, or women are worth more than their looks and their bodies, whereas the men are completely taken for just their power and their money.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that double standard there, and kind of explores that there's more to each than that, or there should be.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, one thing I was really happy to see that, just knowing it was like, it's a movie about strippers, I was expecting it to be more about like stripping and that world, and that part I was like not so sure I was gonna, and I'm happy to see there was way more story to it than just like, okay, we're gonna watch a bunch of strippers just take advantage of guys, what I mean? There was definitely more story, and I mean, it's given the title, it's about the hustle. It's about
absolutely.
The trying to survive, and after the economic downturn, like they had consequences they didn't anticipate,
Right. Yeah. No, and it's
or obstacles, I should have said. Yeah.
no. I mean, it's true because it's you. This is marketed as like the J-Lo stripper movie, and
Yeah.
like people are going to go in expecting that.
Yeah.
And you get a couple scenes, a couple sequences. Shout out to whoever did the soundtrack for this thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty some awesome musical drops, including. Play a lot of Janet Jackson, which I appreciated. I enjoyed that. But no, you get a couple sequences of that. J-Lo called in a favor from one of her famous friends for sure, for a little cameo there. But no, outside of that, it really does focus on who these strippers are outside of that role and kind of like, what are they beyond that job description. But
Right.
I don't know. But what did you think of like some of the performances? Like we were saying, this cast is just stacked with people. And while J-Lo is kind of, rightfully so, like touted as the star of this, it's more Constance Wu's movie. So I'd only seen her in Crazy Rich Asians. I haven't really seen her in much beyond
Me too.
that.
Yeah. I thought she was awesome.
Yeah. No,
She was awesome.
I did too.
J-Lo's captivating. I mean, really, she can command the camera. She can command the stage. Like she has the power that her character demands, and it's so every time she's on screen, she takes everyone's attention. I feel like.
Yeah, and I don't know how long it had been since I'd seen her in a movie. I feel like you see her everywhere, so you don't like feel like she's gone anywhere.
Right.
But when it first started, I was like, man, I haven't like been to a theater and seen a J-Lo movie in forever. But I kind of forgot how like it's like, oh, that's why she's J-Lo, because it's just like she walks on screen and she just commands it.
Yeah.
And no, she was awesome, and she was just. I don't know. I was trying to think of a similar character that hers was like, because she's a supporting character, and she's not. You're kind of or you feel like you're supposed to be rooting for her a little bit, but she's got this kind of like unforgiving side to her, even though she genuinely cares about all these girls.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, who are you, really? But I mean, it's a good performance as far as like riding that line between not all good, not all bad, somewhere there in the middle. Just she's just this woman trying to make it and play the game. Yeah. So I don't know, but no. I mean, as a director, what did you think of like the approach to the structure of it? Because it is based on the article and everything, and so people might know, the full length of the story. So how to create some of the suspense, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin anything.
Yeah,
but, no. There's for me, I guess the one point where the structure jumped out to me was the moment we first cut when Constance Wu's character is doing an interview.
Yes.
And then you start to realize, and I do kind of wonder with that structure, because when you see a character, it's at the end of the story that she's okay. You start to be like, oh, she's going to be fine, even when it gets like dark and times are tough. You know that she's going to somehow make it out on the other end. So that I did sort of wonder if that was the best approach, because it for me took away a little bit of the tension that could have been more present. Like when you're in a tough situation, you don't know if they're going to get out.
Right.
I think it's more tense.
Yeah.
But I understand that they needed the device to weave in the article as a way to sort of give a backbone to the story. And since it's based on an article, I'm sure they wanted to bring the writer of that article into that story.
Yeah, and it kind of made the tension more around their relationship, Constance Wu and Jennifer Lopez's relationship, rather than what necessarily happened to them, because she's being interviewed in this nice house, and you can tell she's more mature and like just dressed nicer and everything. So it's like, oh, what happened? But what happened to the relationship between Lopez and, was it Ramona and Destiny? What happened to their relationship? That because of the questions, you get these emotional responses from them, knowing that like, oh, it's something down the road broke. Sorry if that might be a little bit of a spoiler alert, sorry. But no, any other aspects of it that stood out to you, or that you liked, didn't like, or?
Yeah, I have to say the opening sequence, because there is this fantastic opening scene with J-Lo and during her striptease, and I just was really struck by the vulnerability of the actors. Not only are they just like kind of emotionally naked, they're like physically naked, and they're just like having to be comfortable in the situation when they're so exposed. And I think to start a movie just saying like we're going to expose these characters, and they're you know, it to me I felt like that they obviously the actors really trusted the director, and I felt like there was an interesting bond for me that happened as an audience member. Just was like this sense of trust that was in those early scenes. But I felt it was pretty profound.
Yeah, no, I mean it was, and also just like the physical demands of that. Like she made it look effortless when it was like there's no way I could do any of that. That's so. But yeah, no, you're right, because it is such it's a job where you're immediately there's immediate judgment on who you are as a person because of your job description. And so to like put us in the midst of it and see kind of like they're not necessarily victims, like but kind of how just repulsive the whole atmosphere is, and you have the sympathy for them because it's just like, you know, I don't know why they're there exactly. I don't know what brought you to this point or why you feel you have to do this to make a living, but like something obviously did, and it's it really does put you in the middle of it, and that way you're kind of on their side for when they do start breaking the law. It's like, you know, serves them right. So I don't know. It's definitely one of those. It's one of those crazy true stories, but it's kind of like the anti-American or the ugly side of the American dream, like what links people will go to make that ideal happen or materialize. I don't know. It's it definitely had a lot more layers to it than the J-Lo stripper movie that a lot of people are gonna go in expecting it to be.
I was worried it would be more of that.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of Wolf of Wall Street when I was watching this. Like, how could you not? Partly because of even the editing style, and obviously we're in a world where it's like money grabbing, drugs. You know, getting drunk on power. It doesn't go near as far as what Wolf of Wall Street does.
No, but
it definitely has some parallels.
Yeah. If those guys were still going in in 2008 or whenever, they would definitely probably been in one of those clubs.
Been right there.
Yeah,
the two movies would have met.
Talk about a cinematic universe. Saying all that, like I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting story. Like I was involved in the plight of these characters and everything, but I didn't necessarily get involved to the point that I loved the movie as a whole. Yeah. And but that doesn't mean I disliked it. I was still entertained. It was thoroughly entertaining movie, but I just wasn't as, I don't know. I guess I just wish the narrative, once it got to the point of them breaking the law and kind of the investigation going on, I kind of wish that would have been more intensive, and just like we would have gotten more details around how they were discovered, or the two men that kind of set up the seeds of them getting caught. I don't know, it just kind of felt rushed in that latter half.
I'd actually completely agree with you. I was entertained. I felt like there could be a little bit more of an emotional core to the film a little bit. I think part of it is we lose track a little of why they're doing it, because it's like they need money, so therefore they're going to go all these lengths and put themselves at risk to get money. But then we also see them in these beautiful apartments, living a pretty lavish life. So you don't really feel sorry for them. I feel like they have to do it. So then it's hard to justify their actions. And so I think there's a little bit of a messiness in that part. And we're not really ever close to the characters. And so
like Constance Wu is the closest we get.
And
maybe that's what I was talking about with J-Lo's character, because like we feel we get to know her, but we don't ever feel close to her. Like there's definitely a distance. That's I was trying to figure out what it was about her character that I couldn't pin down, but I think that's it. So as far as star rating goes, I'm probably going to go about a 3.5. I enjoyed a lot of it, and like I said, I was thoroughly entertained up through that third act, where it kind of gets a little jumbled as far as the narrative goes, and you feel that distance with the characters. But no, 3.5 out of 5 for me. I again would definitely recommend Hustlers, but thank you again for being here. I appreciate it. And once again, Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival is coming up next month. and releasing the lineup soon, right?
Yeah, next week we'll be announcing our lineup of films, and there's a lot of exciting things to come.
And where is the web?
Yeah, our website, HSDFI, Hot Springs Documentary Film Institute.org.
Oh, yeah, see, so that we'll have that right there.
Right there, thank you. Yeah.
Check it out, and then definitely look for the lineup next week. And thank you to Movie Tavern for letting us, in to see the movie and shoot the show here. If you're near a movie tavern or if you've never been to one and are curious, definitely check it out. It's a really cool experience. One of those experiences where you can come in, sit in these comfy recliners, get a full meal while you watch a movie on the big screen. Really neat, really unique, really just fun all around. Good time. So thank you to Movie Tavern. Definitely check them out if you haven't already. Thanks again. Appreciate it, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.